21 days ago, I started an experiment and I went all in with the abundance meditations of Dr. Joe Dispenza and my own visualization techniques to see what would happen. And to be completely honest, it's actually completely crazy what all happened. 14 out of the 21 days I got or more abundance into my life or a cool synchronicity with abundance happened. Now when I think about it, it is actually just absurd. What happened? And do you know, Dr. Joe Dispenza always says on his events, go for one time all in, try it 21 days, do an experiment with yourself and just see what happens. And that's what I did in the last 21 days. Since a longer period, I'm working with the Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations and I really wanted to test how it would be if I would go all in on his abundance meditations. In his meditations, you try to get into the energy of what you want to reach, in this case, abundance, before it actually shows in your real life. And it's very interesting because this is a completely different approach that most of us get taught when we're young. So most of us, including me, get taught that we should study hard, work hard, and then from the experiences that we have made, so actually from our past, predict our future. In my own experience, and I've done that for a very long time, there's always something from a traumatic thing from the past that tries to block what you want to reach. And a good example, for instance, is that I grew up in a family that had, for Dutch standards, just not a lot of money. So I wore second-hand clothes till I was 12. The talks and conversations around me were not really about unlimited abundance, maybe more the opposite. And because of it, I had just very negative thoughts and feelings towards money, and they blocked me my entire life of creating it. Actually, still now, I try to overcome this. I try to build up a healthy relationship with money and to get into that abundant state. At the moment, I'm still building up this YouTube channel, and if you're interested in more videos about Dr. Joe Dispenza and manifesting, I would be super grateful if you subscribe to my channel and like this video. And I would also love to hear if there are things that you run up against manifesting money and your experiences with Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. When you look at what Joe Dispenza and other very inspiring teachers like Abraham Hicks and Bob Proctor say, is that you should take a completely different approach. And I have to be honest, for me it works like magic and it sometimes really feels like magic. And in the same time it makes so much sense. So instead of creating your future and what you want to have from the experiences from your past, you should train yourself to become already the person that has what you want to have. So if you want to have more abundance and money, you should train yourself to already feel like you have this. So you should have the thoughts and the feelings of someone that's abundant. And do you know what's a very cool thing? That top sporters and also Olympic winners do exactly the same. So almost all of them have already visualized their win 1,000 times before it actually happens. When you train this, your body will get in a completely different state of being and you will make different decisions and because of it get different results. On top, you do attract energy that is alike. So if you are in a vibration of lack, you will attract that into your life. And I've seen it for many, many years. If you're in a vibration of abundance, you start attracting that. So if you want to attract money to you, you first have to start feeling it in your body. And I've seen it again so clearly in the last 21 days that it exactly works like that. On the second day, for instance, we got this payment that was 400 euros higher than expected. And I was sitting there in front of my laptop and I was thinking, how the heck is this possible? Then on the third day, we had to still pay off, actually, we thought that we still had to pay off a loan of 212 euros per month. I already transferred it. Out of a sudden, I got a message that we already paid it off the month before and that we got that back plus part of the month before. So that was again around 300 euros on the third day. As mentioned, I struggled with money a lot because I did not have a healthy relationship with it. And I have the feeling that for a lot of people it's a similar thing. So you feel worthy for a lot of things, but not money. And I also manifested a lot of things, but I always struggled with money. And I have the feeling that one of the main reasons is because you get so much negative input on money. So for instance, in movies, almost always the bad guy is the guy with a lot of money. And you have these sayings like, money is the root of all evil. But actually the real saying is, the love for money is the root of all evil. And especially also in the spiritual scene, there is this belief that you cannot make or ask money for what you do, or you should ask minimum prices. Do you know? I'm completely done with this. Money is nothing else than an energy exchange. In the past, we gave a bread for 3 apples and now we exchanged it for a middleman called money. Money is neither positive nor negative, it's just how you make it. In the basic, it's neutral. No one says Joe Dispenza or Oprah Winfrey or Sadhguru is a bad person because they have a lot of abundance. If you are an inherently good person, you will do good things with your money and you will make this world a better place. I came to the conclusion that you can do so many good things with it, and this is also one of the reasons why I actually 1 year ago started to really focus on abundance. Now the last 3 weeks were just really intense, but actually I started 1 year ago and I promised myself to find out what real abundance is. I believe that everyone deserves it to have an abundant life. And do you know, if you look around you, there's abundance everywhere. If you look at a tree, you cannot count the number of leaves it has. When you take a hand of sand on the beach, you cannot count the number of grains of sand in your hand. If you look in the sky, you cannot count the number of stars there are. There's abundance everywhere. The only problem is that we block the abundance with the old beliefs and lack thoughts that we have. If we would let go of these old lack beliefs, there would not have to be lack in this world. Actually, I already manifested a couple of times with the Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations and my own tools, big amounts of money. One time, for instance, I did this meditation on abundance and literally 1 hour later someone called me if I wanted to sell my houseboat for a big amount, so I did. And the thing was that I after that switched from topic and did not keep going after abundance, and because of it fell back in my old lack thoughts, what I clearly saw on my bank account. One thing that I've learned by it is that you can actually not stop when you go after a certain goal. If you go from A to B and you stop halfway, the patterns from the past will pull you back and you have to start over again. So you should actually always keep going after a goal, a manifestation, till you became the person that really has it, and then you can switch. So what I did in these 21 days was getting up at 6 and right away doing a sitting or walking meditation that was focused on abundance. So I'm just coming out of one of my walking meditations of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I have to say I love these meditations, and I tried to walk as my abundant self today, but there came also some old, I don't know, nasty feelings up, and you have that sometimes when you do these emotions, like an old layer is releasing you. But that persistence, if you always keep going, and then at one point it switches to that abundant self, and I have to say I feel now pretty amazing and pretty good, and it's really that changing yourself always again into that person that you want to become. And I have to say sometimes it can just be rough like this morning, but I'm so grateful that I went again and that I went out. I feel now again so much more abundant, so much more, just so much more alive as well. So I'm super grateful that I went again for it. What I've seen is that persistence is really key. So always keep going. Then I did my morning visualizations and affirmations. What I do is I stand in front of the mirror, I say an affirmation to myself, and then I close my eyes and I visualize like it has already happened. And I try to really feel these emotions. During my day, I try to tune in as much as possible to the feelings of abundance and having money. Dr. Joe Dispenza always says that you should try to live during your day as much as possible in these emotions of your future. So when I fell out, I sat down and I tried to tune in again. And then the last thing I did, and this is a very powerful one I have to say, is that I sat down every afternoon for 10 minutes and I only focused on being grateful for having a good relationship with money and having a lot of abundance. I have the feeling that the combined practice was super powerful and I quite quickly started seeing results. But I think it's important that you look at all the signs. So not only the big ones, but also the small ones. On the 5th day, for instance, I got my kite from a repair and I had agreed to pay 60 euros for it. I arrived there and the guy only charged me 50. I even said that we had agreed on 60, but he said, no, I want to have 50. So that was again 10 euros. Then the 6th day, I went to the dentist and I looked at their website and I saw that the minimum that they would charge for a checkup would be 80 euros. So I came there and I walked out with a bill of 51 euros. Again, for me, 29 euros that I didn't expect. So the first week gave me already 4 days where abundance came in. And then the second week started. And out of a sudden, it became much more. So on the 10th day, we had planned a marketing campaign with a company for one of our online courses to promote it. And out of a sudden, the sales went through the roof. We sold that day 29 extra courses. And over the next 9 days, every day we had more abundance coming in than before. It was completely crazy. And I do have to say, you could naturally say, okay, you already had planned that. If you had not done the abundance meditations, the same would have happened. But I don't believe it works that way. For me, this was much too much a synchronicity, and that it happens exactly when I do this challenge was for me very clear sign that it worked. So that was already like 14 days that I had it. Then the last thing happened, and this was just pure magic, I have to say. I wanted to buy a new surfboard here in Portugal and I got recommended this shop. So I went to that shop and I already had a look at some second-hand boards. I walk in there, I have this nice talk with this owner and he out of a sudden offers me this new board with 50 euros discount and for the same price that I sold these second-hand boards. So I thought, okay, this is just a very clear sign. I bought it, I walk with it under my arm out of the shop, look into the sky and I see this huge rainbow in front of me. And that was for me the universe talking to me. What became in the last year just very clear to me, and Dr. Joe Dispenza also talks a lot about this, is that the body really follows the mind. On my YouTube channel I have made a video that might be interesting for you to watch as well, where I go deeper into this subject and also how you can reprogram the subconscious mind. And if you with persistence change your feelings and your emotions, your body will start following your new beliefs and you will come to the point where you want to be. Then another thing that I find very interesting, and this is something where for instance Dr. Joe Dispenza, but also for instance Bruce Lipton talks a lot about, is that the moment while you fall asleep or right before you fall asleep is one of the best moments to change beliefs and reprogram your subconscious mind. This is because your brain waves go slower, they come in a theta state and it goes easier into your mind. I've made also on my YouTube channel specifically for this and for abundance a sleep hypnosis that you can try, and I will also put a link for that in the description below. So that were my 21 days abundance with Dr. Joe Dispenza. I know one thing for sure, and that is that I keep doing these practices also now after these 21 days because it was pretty amazing what all happened. I would love to hear what your experiences are also in creating and manifesting abundance, and maybe you still have other practices that helped you. So I would love to hear them in the descriptions. Also like my video, and I would be super grateful if you subscribe to my channel. Then if you're interested in more things from Dr. Joe Dispenza, have a look at this video where I share my experience of doing 365 days his breath for at least 30 minutes a day, and there happened some crazy mystical things, so perhaps that one's also interesting. I also have a playlist in my by my playlists where I have more things and experiences with Dr. Joe Dispenza, so if you're interested in that, also have a look by my playlist. And for now, I just wish you an amazing, abundant day, and I hope to see you in one of my future videos.